Hello everyone, and well, good morning. Normally I wouldn't bother making a video this, right as I woke up, but once again I am blown away by the sheer incompetence, or perhaps the sheer greed and dislike that wargaming has towards their own community. Because, well, I don't even understand how they managed to screw this up, how they managed to handle this so incredibly poorly, because this is something that should have been the easiest slam dunk of a success story I've ever seen, but of course, in classic wargaming fashion, well, they're screwing the pooch. Well, to begin with, the Missouri, I'm actually featuring a really old game in the Missouri. I don't even remember when this was played, but the Missouri is being re-added back to the game. For those that aren't aware, the Missouri was the first Tier 9 premium in the game, and it was originally removed from the game because, well, it had too many credits. It just gave you too many credits. The credit income was far too high. Now people suspect that it was being removed because Wargaming made a whoopsie. They put too good of a credit multiplier on it, and then they really regretted it later, so they pulled it from the store. Of course, they came out and explicitly told us, no, it's not about profits, it's about battle influence. But then later on, as they're in the message where they mentioned that they were going to re-add it to the game, they admit that no, it was actually about profits. Now, of course, blatantly lying to your community would be a pretty big deal for any other company, but for Wargaming, it's Thursday. So, not exactly that noteworthy. We're pretty used to it at this point. Anything that they tell us, take it with a, I don't know, bag of salt. Regardless, the USS Missouri being re-added should still be a success story. For those that aren't aware, USS Missouri is an incredibly historical ship. It's in fact a museum ship at Pearl Harbor, and it's gigantic, it's incredibly famous. It received 11 battle stars for its service. It took part in World War II. It was one of the ships that actually shelled the Japanese home islands. It later took part in the Korean War, from 50 to 53, and it even was modernized in the 80s, so it took part in Operation Desert Storm in 91. So this ship has a long and rich history, and the thing that really makes it stand out, of course, is it was the site where the Empire of Japan surrendered. This is where they signed their surrender. In fact, Wargaming is very well aware of this, and they've used it kind of as a marketing trick. There's a bit of an Easter egg for this. If you look at the port, if you look at the Missouri and the port, you can in fact see a little table where you can see where they signed this treaty. So, incredibly historical ship, a museum ship, a ship that a lot, especially I would say Americans would really, really like to have. I mean, many others, of course. But on 15th of August, so basically just in a couple of days now, it's Victory in Japan Day, so adding this ship back right at the eve of such a big celebration or such a big deal, such a historical day, I mean, this should have been the easiest slam dunk in the world. Very easy piece of cake. So, of course, in classic wargaming fashion, they go about being basically as scummy as they possibly can. First of all, well, the ship is being added back, but it will appear in random bundles that can be obtained in exchange for doubloons. Doubloons, of course, is something you can only buy with real money, and you have to gamble these doubloons on random bundles in the hopes that you will get the Missouri. So they made this ship that was originally available for free XP. They made it they removed it, made it incredibly scarce, and now they're adding it back for real money gambling boxes. I mean, Jesus, talk about really trying to milk the cow absolutely dry. I'd be amazed if it was any other company, but these days this is basically what I expect from wargaming. It's just so scummy, just so scummy. So this is how they celebrate Victory in Japan Day and how they commemorate it, by forcing you to gamble with your hard-earned money to maybe get a chance to get the Missouri, maybe. And you better believe you're not gonna get the ship in the first or the second bundle. It's gonna be bundle number XXX somewhere far in the back after you've spent God knows how much money to get this. And the only reason the ship is rare is of course because they made it rare. That's really the only thing behind it. Now, do you think this is all? Well, you'd think, wow, this is already pretty bad. Like, this is pretty scummy. But this is actually just the tip of how badly they are screwing this entire thing up. Because, well, Little White Mouse, an excellent community contributor who's lately grown quite disillusioned with wargaming after she's been repeatedly screwed over in various things, like the whole Yukon debacle where they've just blatantly lied to her and then cited miscommunication and you know all these things. But she's known for doing extensive research, and she's actually one of the CCs that I read because she just does, she goes into such detail, and just a really great, honestly, community contributor. And the fact that they're willing to alienate her is probably the biggest, what is it called, black sign against it, what is it called, dark sign, I don't know, I don't remember what it's called in English, I don't know the saying, but it's the biggest black eye for that company, is the fact that they're willing to treat a CC that puts so much passion and effort into the game like complete shit. I mean, it's standard for the course. Regardless, let me move on. Anyway, well, she was very worried with the Missouri being re-added, how they were going to handle this monitor thing. What Wargaming said is, well, since the issue was profits, they were gonna, when they re-add the Missouri, it wasn't gonna get the old credits multiplier. It was gonna get a new multiplier, the standard for the new tier 9, basically the new nerf tier 9 credits multiplier. But for people who already own the ship, you were gonna get a special permanent mission that gives you 17% profits. This was their way to make up for it, so you get this 17% extra. Now obviously there was a fair few questions here, and well, many of them was basically, is this a nerf to the people who already own the Missouri? Which is considering Wargaming they love screwing over old customers, this was a very valid thing to ask. So the questions he asked was, obviously, are you going to be able to use the Missouri with the mission to farm credit missions like you used in the past? Like, there's usually pretty common Wargaming adds these missions where earn 10 million credits, and Missouri was really good for this because you could take the Missouri and then you could slap credit flags on, at least dragon flags and camos, and you could use this huge base credit earning and modify it with these flags to get a lot of income. So she straight up asked, based on what we're being told, like you can pause the video and look at the whole thing, but I'm reading the thing at the bottom. Based on what we're being told, the difference in the base credit earning is 200,000 credits in this example. However, the mission will also take into account all bonuses that would have been received by signals and camouflage, meaning the mission in this example would provide the full 530,000 credits at a minimum. Is this correct? So she's asking, does the mission take into account signals and camo? Basically, does it scale off signals and camo, or is it a separate entity? And Wargaming quite directly answers this. They answer, so directly answering question number 1, yes, the player will not earn less than with the old built-in coefficient. So yes, it will scale off of flags, and yes, it will scale off camos. Don't worry, you're gonna earn exactly the same. We wouldn't nerf our old player base. Now, you can probably already tell where I'm going with this, because, well, Little White Mouse, of course, she made a forum thread, she made a Reddit thread about this, letting everyone know, hey, this is how it works, and don't worry guys, Wargaming's got our back, our good old buddy Wargaming, they totally wouldn't screw us over. And what do you have it? They, of course, screwed us over. In fact, people have already been testing it. So, as you can see in this picture, the modifier here, the Basilisk flag, the 30% of the 322k, well, it's 30% of the 322k, but it should actually be the combat mission plus the base value that's being modified by the flags, as they promised. But what actually happens is that the combat mission is a separate entity that doesn't receive benefits from the camo or from these dragon flags. So, basically, straight up lie again, and quite a significant nerf to anyone who got the Missouri back in the days, because, well, if you're using dragon flags and you're using camos, well, you're modifying, these are all percentage-based modifiers, so if you modify a value of 1 instead of a value of 1.17, obviously the percentage that you get is going to be significantly smaller, especially when we're talking about more than 100% bonuses on top that you're trying to build up. So, not just a blatant lie, but also, of course, a huge nerf to previous owners of the Missouri. So, that's a really good way of rewarding the people who got the ship back in the day, and a really good way to show loyalty to your customers, of course. So this is what I'd call a bit of a shit show. And then finally, of course, this permanent mission. Keep in mind that this 17% bonus that you get, well, it is thanks to a permanent mission. Now, how permanent is really this mission? Well, in fact, if you go into your combat missions and you look in the Pacific War section, you'll find that the mission will be available for 141 days. Well, that's because the Wargaming UI is such incredible spaghetti that they literally can't add a permanent mission, but I think they have to manually re-add this mission at the start of every year. And, well, I don't know about you guys, but I've been told that we were going to get permanent missions in the past. The best example of this is probably the unique upgrades, aka the legendary upgrades. We were promised that these would be permanent combat missions, that we can, this is the end game, we can grind these permanent combat missions to unlock these things, and then they just remove them and put the unique upgrades in the armor. Despite the community overwhelmingly voting against this decision, they of course still did it, because, well, I guess they saw bigger profits there. Still, so basically everything about this is complete bullshit. It's real money gambling to get the ship in the first place. For the old owners, it's gotten nerfed, and even in the future, if you're gonna get this 70% bonus that doesn't even scale over flags and stuff, well, that's not a guarantee, because it's wargaming and you can trust them as far as you can throw them. So, adding the historical ship, the site of the surrender of the Empire of Japan on Victory in Japan Day, which should be a slam dunk success, has now in the hands of Wargaming. They are like a reverse Midas. Anything they touch turns into shit. And here we have another beautiful example. As always, thank you for watching. Please don't spend real money on getting the Missouri, by the way. It's kind of side grade from Iowa at best. It doesn't have the super heal and so forth. It has a radar, but the value is questionable because it's 9.5 km. So just don't spend real money to get this ship. I understand if for your history buffs, I can understand more than for the guys who think they're gonna get some great ship. The history buffs I can understand better, but no, it's very much not worth it. Save your money for something far better than giving it to Wargaming. Anyway, that was all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a good time. As always, drop me a sub if you enjoyed the content. If not, well, whatever. I'll talk to you guys next time anyway. Have a great rest of the day. I'm gonna go finish my coffee now.